right. Well, hello again, everyone. It is time for yet more improv Bible study here in the Junk Shop Library. Today's reading is the 41st chapter of the book of Genesis. Like and subscribe. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river several well-favored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up out after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine on the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke. And he slept and dreamed the second time, and behold, 7 ears of corn came up on one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears, and Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt, and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, I and he. We dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there a young man, a Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream did he interpret. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself, and changed his raiment, and came in unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, In my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-flavored and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. And the lean and the ill-favored kine did eat up the first 7 fat kine. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored, as at the beginning. So I awoke. And I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 ears, withered, thin, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears, and I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, The dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. And for the dream that was doubled unto Pharaoh twice, it is because the thing is established by God, and God will bring it shortly to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine which shall be in the land of Pharaoh, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Forasmuch as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according to thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, Bow the knee! And he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath-Paneah, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh, and went through all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities, the food of the field which was round about every city laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much, until he left numbering, for it was without number. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God, said he, hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of dearth began to come, according to as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, and what he saith to you, do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses, and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came to Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all lands. And that's Genesis 41. More dream interpreting. You gotta wonder what's so complicated about this dream that all the magicians and wise men of Egypt didn't even hazard a guess. I saw 7 full healthy things being eaten by the 7 scrawny, ill-favored things that followed them. I think that means you need to lay off the tacos before you stretch out the royal bed. Like I said, I don't put a great deal of stock in dream interpretation, but in a culture that does, this doesn't seem like much of a stretch. That you're going to have some good time and some bad time, and that the thing to do as a result of knowing this ahead of time might be to sock a little away for a rainy day. And Pharaoh thinks it's such a good idea that he promotes Joseph from his current status as major domo of the house of the captain of the guard who rules the prison, all the way up to second in command of the whole country of Egypt, and puts him in charge of the food tax, and in charge of the storehouse cities, and in charge of doling all the stuff out once the famine finally hits. And word of this spreads beyond the borders of Egypt, and people from all over the place come in, because apparently it's a big honking famine. Other than the sheer woo-woo factor of dream interpretation, I don't really have a problem with this story, if I'm honest. Everybody actually comes out of it looking okay, except, of course, for the butler, who remembered that 2-3 years ago he had agreed to try to bail this young Hebrew fellow out of prison in exchange for having gotten a good dream interpretation of his dream about grape harvesting. So in what may be a record in the book of Genesis so far, the absolute worst, most abominable person in the chapter we just read was a forgetful man. Now, you could argue that something that slipped his mind that actually affected somebody else spending 2 years in prison is kind of a big slip of the brain. But he forgot something. He didn't genocide anybody. He didn't rape and pillage. He didn't go a harloting and take advantage of the nearsightedness, or the farsightedness, I guess it would be, of any in-law. Didn't cheat anybody out of 7 years' wages or wives. So that's about it, really. If you put stock in dreams, make sure you get interpretations of them from qualified experts. And be open-minded as to what qualifies your expert in question. All right. So we'll be back soon with chapter 42. If you're not subscribed already, poke the Pope to subscribe. Hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying what you're seeing. Come back and see us again soon. We are in the home stretch as far as the book of Genesis is concerned. Y'all take care.